Hello, you're listening to the Tsunami of Truth podcast for May 18th, 2026. I'm Christy Allen here on jmcbroadcasting.com. Take a look at the cover art for tonight's show. You see the golden door? It's not just a pretty picture, it's the frequency we're stepping into right now. But look at what we're standing on. It's the mud and the grime of a century-long infiltration. We're moving from the utilidors of Disney to the utilidors of the Denver airport today. We're connecting the dots from the sky above to the tunnels below, and finally to the absolute collapse of the deep state circus. And if you've been feeling tempest-tossed, hold on tight because the lamp is being lifted and the delete button has been pressed. We've seen the end of this movie, and it's time to show you how the pieces of the puzzle finally lock into place. We have to start with the food because they are attacking the hardware of your body from every angle. Brannon Howes reported on May 13th that farmed fish sold across the United States are routinely sedated and exposed to over 50 different vaccines, with mRNA versions now in development. Most get it now about how organic can't really be organic if the chemtrail spraying continues. Look, they're now trying to vax the food supply because they're losing the sky war. And of course, they're trying to repeat the scare again. They're still trying to push the COVID jabs and all the fear they can about, anything at all. And now, it's not mad cow. It's not the bird flu. Wait for it. It's the hantavirus. Let's look at the software of that fear with some actual stats from Liz Wheeler on X.com. She said the odds of dying from hantavirus are 1 in 30 to 35 million. To put that in perspective, your odds of dying from a lightning strike are 1 in 15 million, and you're more likely to get struck by a bolt from the blue than catch this outbreak. Meanwhile, the odds of dying from a medical error are 1 in 1,000. And if someone is telling you to freak out about hantavirus, they're lying to you. Don't fall for it again. And keep in mind that hanta in Hebrew or Hungarian means nonsense, lies, or a scam. People are always asking me, Christy, why don't the white hats just flip the switch? Why don't they just dump the whole truth on the evening news tonight? Well, Steve Jones put it perfectly back in 2021. The wake-up process is a delicate surgery. If you downloaded the truth about NASA, the Vatican, Antarctica, and the Synagogue of Satan all at once, the hospitals wouldn't have enough padded rooms. We're talking about decades, and I mean centuries of brainwashing being unwound drip by drip for your own sanity. Otherwise, your brain might just explode. And as Steve said, you're dealing with some big, serious lies that are being uncovered, like NASA and CIA and Disney and World War II and 9/11, Antarctica, the Vatican, Mockingbird, Mossad Media, dumb central banks, Fed, royal bloodlines, frazzle drip, Vril, adrenochrome, and much, much more. This has to be unwound delicately. Now it's coming out drip by drip. Nothing at this point can stop it, unquote. Steve also said you may not understand the process, but you'll end up respecting it and appreciating it greatly. The battle is won already. This is Operation Wake Up. So pay attention to everything, but don't let anything consume you. Everything matters and is connected in some fashion, unquote. The drips are turning into a downpour. And if you've been feeling bothered or drained, it's because you've been living in a frequency war. But the blockade is holding, and the light is finally flooding the tunnels. I promise more on this story, and in my last podcast, we talked about the arrests for child trafficking, among other things, on the Disney cruise ship, The Magic. And now, the Magic Kingdom just took on a whole new meaning, patriots. Anita King shared a bombshell story every Disney fan needs to hear. We all know about the 9 acres of utilidors where Mickey changes his pants underground, but a former Imagineer with 31 years at the Walt Disney Company, holding a level 7 clearance that they claim doesn't exist, just filed a 189-page affidavit with a military tribunal. According to these affidavits, beneath those 9 acres sits a second system. It's deeper, it's older, and it's built in 1966, the year Walt died. Disney admitted to those 9 acres. They said they were for trash removal and costume changes. Anyway, that was their story, and they were sticking to it. But if they were digging before they had permits, was the theme park their goal, or was that just the cover story? Was all this effort just to build a theme park, or did they build a 47-mile subterranean fortress and put a carousel on top to hide the digging? Consider that the second underground system spans 47 miles. Not the 9 acres of underground they claimed was all there was to it, but a full 47 miles. Let that sink in. That's the size of San Francisco. If those tunnels connect to resort hotels and water parks away from public eyes, you got to ask, what is being transported? This system connects all 4 parks, the hotels, and locations Disney doesn't even own. So why is that? Well, in the Deep State playbook, Disney has always been more than a movie studio. It's been what looks like a psychological operation, or what's called a PSYOPs hub. The military tribunals have the receipts now. The claim of a level 7 Imagineer filing an affidavit with a military tribunal is the ultimate infiltration signal, because why would a theme park need military-grade security clearances? One of my sources said that the tunnels extend to 3 locations not owned by Disney, and if those tunnels lead to military installations or government hubs, then Disney World isn't just a vacation spot. It's a central hub for the Florida Dumbs. A metropolitan-scale transit system designed to move assets across 25,000 acres without ever touching the surface. It connected all 4 Disney World parks, both water parks, Disney Springs, and 14 resort hotels, with branches extending beyond Disney property to 3 locations that are not owned by the Walt Disney Company. So when the small world gets this big, it's for the infiltrators who need to move between the 4 corners of the property without ever breaking the illusion. Look, Disney's slogan is where dreams come true, but for the people in those 47 miles of deep tunnels, it sounds more like a nightmare. Seems to me that the utilidors are the limited hangout. They'll give you a little bit of truth, like the 9 acres, so you stop looking for the bigger lie, the 47 miles. But the military tribunals now have the 189-page affidavit, and you can bet it won't be business as usual if Disney thinks it gets to continue to program our children while moving assets through the bowels of the property. Because the military tribunals have those receipts, and I hear there is swift justice in military courts, and it looks to me like the small world that isn't so small after all is being dismantled from the bottom up, and the limited hangout of the 9-acre tour is being washed away by the tsunami of truth. The small world underground is 47 miles, not 9 acres, and it's looking more and more like there was a lot to hide under there. Now let's fly from the fortress of the mouse to the 53-square-mile mystery of the mile-high city. I'm dedicating this section of the Denver airport to a hero who is no longer with us. His name was Phil Schneider. He was always blowing my mind, talking about something called DUMBs way back then in the mid-90s. And it was because of him that I bought an entire book on the subject. His name was one of the earliest voices to sound the alarm about the Denver International Airport while it was still under construction in the early 90s. Phil claimed to be a structural engineer who worked on top secret government projects. He started doing a series of seminars across the U.S. in 1994 and 1995, way before these topics hit the mainstream. He talked about Denver constantly until he was taken out for speaking the truth. Phil would often show his hand during seminars, which was missing several fingers, and he claimed he lost those fingers in a firefight with extraterrestrials while digging a secret base in Dulce, New Mexico in 1979. At that time, I really didn't know what to do with that, but it was because of Phil that I walked through some research doors I may never had if he hadn't had the courage to speak about his own experiences. Phil was one of the first to claim that the Denver airport was not just an airport, but a cover for a massive multi-level underground city and hub for the New World Order. He talked about the strange murals and the unexplained hardware beneath the terminals long before anyone else did. Phil famously said, "If I ever commit suicide, I was murdered." And sure enough, just like so many whistleblowers and scientists today, in January of 1996, he was found dead in his apartment. The official ruling was suicide by a rubber catheter wrapped around his neck. But his supporters and family pointed to the extreme physical difficulty of such a method, especially given his existing injuries, as evidence that he was taken out for his whistleblowing about the Denver airport. Now, if the Disney tunnels are the software hub, the Denver airport is the hardware capital. They told us the baggage system was broken, but they were actually digging a hole big enough to hide the New World. During construction, they moved 110 million cubic yards of earth, way more than needed for an airport. One of the most chilling pieces of hardware at DEN is the 5 buried buildings. During construction, 5 massive buildings were fully completed and then reportedly buried because they were positioned incorrectly. Look, you don't bury millions of dollars of infrastructure and start over unless you're building a subterranean city. We call that a foundation for a glorification center. These are high-tech bunkers where the elite think they can hide from the great unwinding. Now, a friend of mine told me that these glorification centers are all over in the deep underground military bases. She said Salt Lake City has one, the Vatican has one, and of course, so does the Denver airport. She said they were doing experiments there at the Vatican and that it was her job as a child to change the diapers of the newly born children that had sex changes in the womb. That is what she told me. It doesn't get any weirder than that. But if you've got an agenda worldwide to confuse a bunch of people, then that's apparently what these idiots decided to do. And if true, and this was all part of the mind control of the masses, imagine what our world would be like if they had gotten away with not just short term, but long term. All of this, all of their agenda, that would have been bad. It was bad enough as it was. Meanwhile, let's talk about the artwork at the Denver airport. Talk about a portent of things to come. In 1994, they painted children of all nations, huddled in terror, some wearing gas masks, surrounded by toxic gray gas. They showed us the destroyer, a soldier in a gas mask stabbing the dove of peace. Yeah, you heard that right. And if you've ever been there and seen this art like I have, well, it looks to me like they weren't predicting the future. They were creating it. Look, how weird is it that they showed us the mask and the kill agenda 26 years before 2020? They thought they could get away with it because it was below ground. But there is no bunker deep enough to hide from the light. And we can't leave this subject without honoring one of the great heroes for covering the subject all these years. So here's a shout out to the amazing Gene Decode. Thanks for all you've done to expose what's been going on in those dumps and keeping us updated on the progress of cleaning them out over the past 10 years at least. Phil Schneider definitely earned that dedication, and so do you, Gene. Meanwhile, there's something deeply poetic about honoring a man who lost everything to tell the story of the tunnels while Gene and I sit above ground, safe and sound, bringing Phil's mission to the finish line. May you rest in peace, Phil Schneider. Okay, let's change channels. I mean, you have got to love the humor in this battle. Trump is changing the name of ICE to NICE. That's the National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. And what is abso-freaking-lutely hilarious is that it forces the fake news to say nice agents all day long. Hey, I wonder if that will make the reporters nicer. Yeah, I doubt it too. But the real news is the cosmic undo button. Leo the Lightworker is laying out a full systems overhaul because, as many of you already know, the 2020 election was traced by military watermarked ballots showing an 80% margin for Trump, which means that the Biden term is effectively being erased from the record. And since foreign interference has been verified, both of the Obama presidential terms are being pulled back too. So think about that. Because of their crimes, they will not be given any kind of legacy or honored as past presidents. They will be known as the criminals and fakes that they actually are. It's an erasure of the infiltrators. They are also freezing the trillions belonging to global criminals and moving that wealth back to the American people as reparations. In other words, the stolen money is being repatriated back to the patriots. Look, we aren't a poor nation. We're a rich nation that was being mugged by its own trustees. But the mugging is over. We're seeing it everywhere. Nicolas Maduro is singing like a canary about how 72 other nations were overthrown by election theft technology as well. And Snowden is coming home with the receipts on Comey and Brennan. And our gold medal mom, Tina Peters, is also coming home on June 1st because somebody somehow finally got through to that Colorado governor to finally do the right thing. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like the J6ers, that woman should never have been there in the first place. Speaking of you beautiful patriots, mark your calendars for July 4th, 2026. This isn't just an anniversary. It is the restoration of the Republic. President Trump is preparing to speak at a moment where the corporate version of America, the one bankrupt and looting our pockets since 1913, officially liquidates. We're talking about a new legal system based on common law sovereignty, and no more statutes that treat you like cargo. And some are saying that we're also talking about the release of Tesla's wireless energy. Imagine no more power lines, no more oil blockages, and no more scarcity. The trillions stolen from us are being diverted back. The clowns who infiltrated us since 1947 on our TV screens are being rounded up. They caught them all, from 9/11 to the 2020 ballots. The 6 o'clock news puppets are just hanging by cut strings now, and we're watching them all one by one hit the news floor just like they're bad stories. I want to leave you with the Operation Wake Up mindset. Be an observer. Like a wave, let the muck wash over and past you. Remember what Steve Jones said. This brainwashing is being unwound drip by drip and expecting it to change in velocity occasionally. So while the drip feels like a hose up your nose sometimes, just step back, breathe, and know that this too shall pass. There's a poem you all know, etched in bronze by Emma Lazarus, that goes, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, your wretched refuse from your teeming shore. Send these, your homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." For too long, the deep state tried to turn us into that wretched refuse by feeding us bad fish and endless wars. They kept us tired and huddled in magic kingdom illusions. But the shift we are seeing now is the lifting of that lamp. The tempest was mostly manufactured, and the golden door to abundance is finally being unlocked. The old system is bankrupt. The energy heist is over. The new Colossus isn't a statue anymore. It's you. You are the one standing tall. You are the light. 250 circuits of light, to be exact, and the golden door is wide open. And for the first time in centuries, humanity finally has a chance to breathe free and walk right through it. So keep listening to your spirit within. Pray for this country and all of humanity, and keep walking toward that light, because the golden age home we've been yearning for is finally within sight. Hey, thanks for listening to the Tsunami of Truth. I'm Christy Allen, and we, the people, are taking our country back.
The Federal Reserve is no more a government agency than Federal Express. The Federal Reserve is a corporation founded and run by international bankers.
The Global Financial Reset is not just another podcast or episode of pertinent current discussions concerning economic-related issues. It's also an ongoing educational workshop series.
Join me and my prominent guests every Wednesday live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on JMC Broadcasting's backup Rumble channel on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Sign up for JMC's free weekly war report, including notifications of when the Global Financial Reset show is published. The future is bright, and it belongs to us, not to the global elite.
You can survive and thrive this reset transition, but it takes action on your behalf. The Global Financial Reset Workshop Series gives you the tools to get out of the system with confidence.